while your day is winding down. They're just getting started. This is South Coast Tonight with Chris McCarthy and Marcus Farrow. They've got you covered on all the news of the day, from local issues to politics on both sides of the aisle. This is the place where the movers and shakers come to be heard, to listen, and where they're held accountable. This is South Coast Tonight on WBSM.
Hey,
welcome back.
Welcome to South Coast Tonight. I'm Marcus.
I'm Chris.
And we're joined now by recently reelected Plymouth County District Attorney Tim Cruz. Hey, DA Cruz.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing well. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
So, first question is: so you were reelected. It wasn't even close.
No.
None of your reelection efforts have been seem to have been difficult. This year was a tough year for Republicans. Obviously, Tom Hodgson's not going to be a sheriff anymore. They flipped to countywide seats for DA and sheriff in Barnstable County to Democrats. How were you, as a Republican, able to survive the blue wave here in Massachusetts?
You know, I think we just really worked hard, like we always do. We do work hard at the job. We work hard at the politics of it. It was getting out there, getting the word out as to what we're doing here, and talk about all the positive changes I think that we've made here in our county to make our county better and stronger. Make sure that people understand, you know, our job is to preserve, promote, and protect the public safety in Plymouth County. And I think people understand that, and that's why we've done a good job over the last number of years.
Tim, you really had major headwinds with the DO campaign. Maura Healey had tremendous coattails in other parts of the district, but not with you. You came through it shining as you usually do. Congratulations.
No, I appreciate it, Chris. I mean, listen, like I said, everybody worked really hard. I'm very appreciative of the efforts of my team working together. That's what it is. It's the way we deal with everything. Everything is a team effort. Nobody by themselves can get anything done. If we're all willing to put together and work together, we can really make some good things happen. I think that's what we've been doing, and I think that's why we've been successful. People understand that about the public safety team here in Plymouth County, myself, Sheriff McDonald, and a lot of the other law and order people that are down here that want to make sure we can do our jobs and work together. And when you do that, you can make a big difference. So,
DA Cruz, I understand we were here on election night till like 1 a.m, and I was in contact with people that were around, that were close to your election over in Plymouth County. They were telling me that, even when the results were clear, your opponent was holding off on making a concession. Was there a concession call made to you between your re-election victory and this show today?
No, I haven't received a call from my opponent in this race. I know earlier that night there was some communications between another radio station and his camp, and I think their response, probably around 10 or 11 o'clock, I think it was that they were going to wait till every vote was counted, and that's pretty much the last I heard of it.
So that's interesting. So we're speaking with Plymouth County District Attorney Tim Cruz, who was just reelected to another 4-year term. So, DA Cruz, now that you've been reelected, that's behind you. What are you looking forward to starting that you might have been holding off while you were waiting for this campaign to be over?
No, I think I'm looking forward to expanding on what we're doing here. I really believe what we're doing is working. And I believe, trying to help kids on the front end of what we deal with, kids who are witnessing trauma, kids who are drug endangered, kids who have adverse childhood experiences, kids who are dealing with significant mental health issues on the front end of the criminal justice system. We need to keep them out of the criminal justice system. Very much looking forward to working with the National Drug Endangered Children Collaborative that we've been a part of for a couple of years now, and trying to get that here to our county. I really think that going in that direction, we can help even more kids stay out of the system, watch our crime numbers continue to go down, and watch our incarceration rates go down. That makes a huge difference. It's everything together. And I think that, obviously on the back end, it's really important for us to continue to work and help the inmates who are coming back to our communities, that we're going to put them in a position where they can get really good jobs, help them get education, help them with anger management issues, help them with drug issues, because that's smart. Keeping people out of the system is smart. If we work together, we can do that, and we've made a lot of great successes, and we need to continue to do more.
We're speaking with District Attorney of Plymouth County, Tim Cruz. Tim, one of the things that you really shocked me with was in the couple of visits we had with you, you mentioned the extremely low number of people that are actually incarcerated in your county at the House of Correction.
Right.
Maybe you could go over that again, because I know both Marcus and I were really stunned by that.
Yeah, the numbers have gone down precipitously, not just in Plymouth County, but throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Massachusetts is now 50 out of 50 states regarding the rate of incarceration rates per population. That means this is one of the rare times where it's good to come in last. We have less people in jail. So at our Plymouth County House of Correction, I think when I spoke a few weeks back, the number at that time was approximately 80 people were doing time at the Plymouth County House of Correction. And at the same time, our Department of Correction, where, as you know, that's where collectively all 11 DAs and 14 counties, where the individuals are convicted of the most serious crimes, murder, rape, drug trafficking, human trafficking, those numbers are also down significantly, more than 50% over the course of the last decade. Once again, I think what that shows you is that we've been smarter on crime. We've been smarter on trying to help people. We're smarter on also, at the same time, helping guys come back in the community. But also in the middle, we also need to continue to hold the people accountable, the people who are out there who are hurting other people. When you put that whole package together and you can make it fit into your county, into your community, into the Commonwealth, great things can happen. And I think that's what's happening in Plymouth County and a lot of our adjoining counties. The numbers are very similar.
So we're speaking with Plymouth County District Attorney Tim Cruz, who was just reelected to another 4-year term as DA. So you talked about a little bit about the programs you're doing. I remember when you came in with us for the first time towards the end of the summer, you had said, we're not your grandfather's DA's office. You had a whole cachet of programs you're talking about doing outreach and a drug. You said a national collaborative for some type of like drug rehabilitation or enforcement. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we've been receiving, working hard, getting grants, both federal and state grants, and trying to get that money into our community. We've been able to get, in my tenure as DA, almost $25 million back into our community, which flows through us. We don't take any money out of it, and we put it right back into, whether it be drug-free community grants, whether it be Project Safe Neighborhood, trying to deal with violence in our urban communities, Weed and Seed, another issue for urban communities. And at the same time, we just getting human trafficking grants, trying to get in front of human trafficking, making sure people can understand that there's a lot of education out there that we need to continue to work at. And at the same time, deal with our nationally accredited Children's Advocacy Center on the front end, the kids that get hurt physically or sexually every year, making sure that we can continue to get those kids out of the cycle. Kids who are not getting the help that they need, these victims can very well become perpetrators if they don't get the help. So that's what we're trying to do on that front end with those kids. And at the same time now, I think what we're seeing is that the criminal justice system, unfortunately, is really the depository of mental health and drug issues. That's why we have drug courts. That's why we have mental health courts and veterans courts, specialized courts to help people, but at the same time to hold them accountable. And if you do that, I think, people understand that, yes, I can do this and I can recidivate. I can commit a new crime and I'm going to go back to jail. People don't want to go to jail.
Right.
We have significant issues going on now with our drug issues, with our COVID issues, our mental health issues. All of these things, unfortunately, end up in a criminal justice system that is many times ill-prepared to deal with it. So how can we take something that's really unusual to us as lawyers, prosecutors, how do we take that and how do we morph it in trying what's best for our community? I think that's what we've been doing. And I think as we go out and I talk to the other DAs often. We have our monthly meeting tomorrow again. And at that point, we'll go through our next issues, making sure that we can work together. If I have a program that I do here in Plymouth County, I'm happy to share it with my other fellow brothers and sisters of the DAs. And they may take it and tweak it, change it, make it fit for their county. We're all a little bit different. I think working together makes a huge difference, and I think we've been able to do that.
Wait, so you have a monthly meeting with the DAs?
Yeah, we've been doing that for years. We're the member of the Massachusetts District Attorneys Association.
Right, you're the vice president.
We've been meeting Yeah, I've been there. As a matter of fact, I think I become president again tomorrow.
Congratulations.
I think it's my 4th or 5th time as president.
Congrats.
You keep on winning.
Well, it's good. It's good because, as you said earlier, I mean, I'm also the only Republican DA left in the state.
Yes.
And that's why I need to continue to work with, the other DAs. And we do. We work very relatively apolitical for the most part. We sit at our tables. We talk about what we believe is good for our communities, what laws are good, how we can work together with budget issues, how can we continue to deal with the challenges that we all deal with, and how can we get the best ideas and go forward.
We're speaking with District Attorney of Plymouth County, Tim Cruz. Tim, one of the things we talked about in your visits here is the amount of money that is not paid or that should be paid but maybe isn't yet to your young prosecutors, and what a problem that is trying to get new guys and women and retain them. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's been an issue for years. And this is one of those instances where all of the DAs have worked together over the course of the last 6-7 years. The starting salary for an assistant DA in our county and pretty much across the Commonwealth about 5 or 6 years ago was $37,500.
Ridiculous.
I mean, you can barely afford to pay your college, never mind your law school loan,
Right.
and never mind live. So we worked really hard with the legislatures, working with the speakers and the Senate presidents and the administrations. And now, when we begin in January, in those 5 or 6 years, it went from 37.5. It's going up to about 68.5. So I think we've almost doubled it, which is great.
Yeah.
There's still some room to continue to work because we have to make sure we have a livable, workable wage for the men and women who are making this commitment to public service. Making sure that they understand that we're there with them. We're going to give you great experience, and these are things you can use in your life if you leave the DA's office down the road. But at the same time, we're working really hard to make sure that you can have a better life. You can make sure you can get the monies that you deserve, and that we can go forward from there. So I think we're going to continue to work in that fashion, making sure that we can get the monies for not just our lawyers, but also for our victimless advocates,
Sure,
for our IT departments, for our admins. Always trying to get more and more resources. And now I think in any business, getting new employees is a challenge. And It's no different than the DA's office. We're having challenges as never before, trying to get people in the door, making sure that they understand that, we're here for them and we need them to be there for us.
We're speaking with Plymouth County District Attorney Tim Cruz, who was just reelected to another 4-year term. So one of the ongoing issues will be in the next legislative session will be the dangerousness bill. You've been an advocate of it. I know DA Tom Quinn down here in southeastern Massachusetts has been an advocate of it. There's a couple new DAs this cycle. I'm not sure where everybody's positioned on. I do have the Cape and Islands DA coming in tomorrow. But what are you going to? What are you guys going to put forward? What kind of effort are you guys going to put forward on advocating for that bill next session on Beacon Hill? And just broadly tell us why you support the dangerousness bill.
Well, I mean, I think what will happen is once the new DAs get on board, which will be sometime in January, and once we all collectively get together and have a conversation, what we will do, which we do every year, is we try to pick 5 or 6 pieces of legislation that we collectively can all agree to. Because between all 11 of us, there's a lot of legislation out there that we like to work on. Okay. But we try to work together on 5 or 6 pieces that we know that are manageable so we can get in front of the appropriate people up on Beacon Hill. I'm pretty confident the dangerousness bill will continue to be there and gives us an opportunity to expand the ability to have a bigger list of cases. I think there was just a case in Bristol County the other day regarding motor vehicle manslaughter that didn't fit the parameters of that. And we should be able to put ourselves in a position for some sexual abuse child cases that doesn't fit in the 58A hearings right now, so we were able to make that determination. And I think the thing that's important for people to understand is that the district attorney makes an argument for we're making an accusation that John Doe should be held as a dangerous person. Just because we say that doesn't mean it happens.
Right.
That person has a defense attorney, and the judge is sitting there. The judge is going to have a hearing within the 3 business days to make a determination whether or not that person fits the parameters of the definition of a dangerous person by that statute, or whether or not it fits within there with all. So we want to expand it. We want to make sure that we can also have a longer time period that people are being held because of it's really very difficult to get a case tried within 90 or 120 days, especially many times when you're waiting for drugs. You're waiting for forensics to come back. And those things take time. It doesn't happen overnight, like we see on television. that you can get it done in 24 hours. It just doesn't work that way. So I think we're trying to expand that. I'm very hopeful also we're going to try to expand the wiretap statute.
Okay.
I think that's another very important tool that we don't use because of the way that it's been interpreted by our SJC for the last decade or so. And I think, Judge Gantz back then in his decision for the wiretap statute gave there's just a few words that it needs to be put in there to allow us to expand it to deal with homicides and to deal with rapes and to deal with violent crime. Things like that are really important. And I'm sure we're going to have other things that we'll be talking about, whatever the crime issue is going on at that time.
So just to be clear, you're looking for you're advocating for a law to be passed to give more expansive application to when you or a law enforcement agency can request a wiretap or get a warrant for a wiretap.
Yeah, and once again, getting a warrant for a wiretap is very comparable to getting an arrest warrant, getting a search warrant.
Sure.
It's got to be approved by a judge. We can't just say, I'm going to wiretap this guy's house and go in there and put a tap up there. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
We have to have sufficient probable cause. It's got to go in front of a clerk magistrate or a judge. They have to give us an authorization. There's a limited time period that we can do it, and then we do it. If we need to expand that time frame, we have to go back in front of the judge and make a motion to see, here's why we're trying to expand it. So it's not just, we're going willy-nilly to do this stuff. What we're doing is making sure that we can bring this information in the way that we're supposed to in front of a neutral and detached person, and they can make the decision based upon the evidence we present them and go forward. And like I said before also, wiretaps don't just happen because they're very expensive to do. Whether you're dealing with individuals, if you're going to go for a week and you have to have people listen to the wires, you may have to have interpreters that you have to pay, and many times they're cost prohibitive. The only times we're really going to be dealing with those are really an incredibly large proportion of cases that are going on right now to make sure we can get dangerous things off the road or dangerous people off the streets. I think that's important to do, and we should at least have the ability to go in front of a court and be heard. And right now we're not able to do that in a lot of the stuff.
So Tim, the former district attorney here in Bristol County, Paul Walsh, a friend of ours, and Paul said one of the, you can say it now because you just got reelected, but he said one of the worst things that ever happened for district attorneys is the rise of crime television. Everybody sees it on TV. They think that you can just do it the way they do it on SCI and these other shows.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, it's crime to conviction in 60 minutes with commercials.
Right.
People think they think it happens like that. That's why, whenever I go out and I talk to groups of people, I'll ask them if they know what the DA does, and usually nobody knows really what the DA does. And I'll ask them, do you watch Law and Order? Do you watch CSI? And you kind of get them nodding their head, and I'll say, well, there's nothing like that. that's entertainment. That's not what we do. And I think you try to give them a grasp of what it is, what the DA does, what the ADAs do, what the court system's about. I think many times people think that they understand it, but it's not as glamorous as some people may think it is. It's not as ugly as some people think it is. Like everything is kind of in the middle. It's kind of in the middle, I think. And I think that you always have to, whatever the cases are, and the people and the victims understand that you have a job to do in an objective fashion to go forward in a good faith fashion, making sure you can try to get justice for people in your community. And that's a lot of weighing things on both sides, for both the defendant and also for the victims and the community. And I think that this is the sort of job that it does take some time to get used to that, to understand that your job is not being a zealous advocate for your client and defendant, or being on the other end of it and not worrying about the defendant. You're kind of in the middle, and you're looking to make your community better, safer. You're looking to also make sure you receive just results. Many times now these people talk about DAs like all we're looking for is convictions. We want to throw people in jail. Nothing can be further from the truth. I don't want the wrong person in jail any more than anybody else does. I mean, A, it's wrong, and B, that also means if we have the wrong person in jail, that means the right person's out and about.
Right.
So, we try to continue to work together to try to make sure that we can do the job as best as we can. Everybody's human. People make mistakes. And that's why we have conviction integrity units, and that's why we are always open to listening to somebody if they have some information for us, if it's viable. And we'll continue to do that and try to make sure that we can do the job.
District Attorney Tim Cruz, congrats on your re-election, and we look forward to speaking with you more as your next term continues.
That'd be great. Thanks a lot, guys. You have a good night.
Thanks. Again. Congratulations.
That was Plymouth County DA Tim Cruz, soundly reelected, the last of the Mohicans here in southeastern Massachusetts after most of the Republicans basically got wiped out.
Right.
And
Thanks, Jeff Deal. Nice job, Jeff Deal.
Oh, sincerely. Thank you, Jeff Deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeff Deal was a Democrat's secret weapon.
But Tim Cruz is one of the good ones. So we're going to take a break, and we will be right back. This is South Coast Tonight with Chris and Marcus here on WBSM.
Download the
I could tell you half the war stories that
the
I have.
The off-air podcast.
Yeah, it's incredible. So that was DA Tim Cruz. Again, I think one of the good ones, and one of the survivors. Sheriff.
So I was going to ask him, but I opted not to. We'll get him another time, but it's too early right now. But he ought to be anyway on the short list for higher office if he wants it. He may not want it.
Oh, yeah. You can ask him that. He's like, well, I'm really focused on the work I'm doing, and I'm so thankful for the people who sent me back for another 4 years. I'm blessed to have this job. It's the best job in the world.
Right. But really, the bench for Republicans is very small now for higher office.
I'm thinking about I'm thinking about if, first of all, running for governor, right?
Right.
Now, he'd have to give up his DA seat because it's the same election year. So I don't know if he'd do that.
Right.
But like a gubernatorial, I think he'd be a good gubernatorial candidate.
I think so as well.
I think he'd be a good congressional candidate.
Yes. And that congressional district that he lives in is probably the next one to open.
It's not only the next one to open, it's the most competitive.
Certainly.
I mean, Keating's there as long as he wants to be.
Yes.
But he doesn't want to be there.
Right.
He doesn't want to be there that long.
Right.
He said he's not going to be there for the next 10 years.
Right.
And he said probably not even the majority of the next 10 years. He said that to me here on air.
A couple of years ago, right? Or a year ago.
It was in the spring when they were when they were having that spat with Auchincloss on redistricting.
Okay.
Yeah, and he said, I'm not going to be here for the majority of the next 10 years. So that means a term or two.
Right.
Right? More, and then that seat's opening up. Yeah, I would think he's a candidate for that congressional seat. I
think you're right about that. It depends on what part of the term he's in.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's a freebie.
Yeah.
If he's allowed to keep the DAs.
Well, that's the thing. So if it's during a presidential election year, it is a freebie.
Right.
But that also makes it harder for him.
It does. It certainly does.
There's the rub, right?
Right.
Could be maybe, it could be a situation where, a guy like him would be like, well, I've done everything that I wanted to do. This has been a great job. Let's see if I can go represent people in Congress.
Right.
We talked about potential congressional candidates in the 9th congressional district. If I guess we're going to stumble upon this conversation here.
Sure, why not?
Why not? Right? It's fun. Karen Polito moved to Dartmouth.
Karen Polito, our lieutenant governor, has moved to Dartmouth.
Yes.
Now, look, here's the thing. I don't mean to be a cynic, but when you've been in elected office as long as she has, she moved for a reason, and she noticed who her neighbors were going to be. Right?
Yeah.
She moved here from the Worcester area, Shrewsbury. Now, it could be because she loves the smell of the ocean.
Could be.
But I think she loves the smell of politics more, right?
Yeah.
She's a political animal, right? In the best sense of the word. So,
well, she's had a lot of success.
Right.
Was a state rep. She's part of the most popular gubernatorial administration in the country for the last 8 years.
That's right.
So she would be a good candidate.
She would be a very good candidate, and she's living right now in the district, and she's put roots down here, and she's been expanding those roots for a number of years.
Other people, I'm thinking, yeah, exactly. So if she launched a campaign, I think she'd be a strong challenger.
Yes.
The other person I'd be thinking of on the Democratic side would be someone like John Mitchell.
I think Mayor Mitchell would absolutely have to look at that race.
Julian Sear on the Cape, who's made a national profile now after the Martha's Vineyard thing.
Yes.
Even Dylan Fernandes, actually, I think would be a candidate for that office as well. You got to look at maybe Mark Montigny.
I think you have to look at Senator Montigny.
Yeah. And Senator Rodrigues.
I think Senator Mike Rodrigues would have to look at I think that anybody with political experience has to look at that seat. An open congressional seat is very rare, and all of those people would, I think, do a good job in Congress.
Yeah.
The question becomes, do you want to move to Washington?
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's Mark says, you and I have both off the air told many people, the problem is you might win. Right?
Yeah.
The problem is you might win.
There's about 40 or so. There's about 40 or so members of Congress that live in their office.
Yes.
Literally. Because I remember that was an issue. That was a discussion when AOC was like, I'm looking for apartments, but I haven't had a job. Like I haven't been working on my campaign, so I'm looking for apartments in D.C. Boy, is it expensive.
Right.
And so even on $179,000, it's, it might be cost prohibitive in a lot of cases. So there is about 40 or so, and maybe some are just more, I guess, frugal, about 40 or so members of Congress that live in their office.
I mean, I'm not saying it shouldn't be allowed, but I'm not really, I don't think it should be.
It's got everything you need there.
I don't think they have a gymnasium downstairs. You can go shower.
There's a bathroom in all the full bathroom in the offices.
Sure.
Yeah.
It seems improper, though, to be sleeping in the Capitol. I don't know.
I would agree with you. But I don't know. I'm not a congressman.
But it's not a big deal to me, basically, is what I'm saying.
No.
I don't really. That's why I wouldn't say you should be outlawed, because I think that's a bridge too far. But it seems a little unbecoming, I guess.
Yeah.
If you can't live on $170,000,
it's a lot of it's a lot of money to live in DC.
It is a lot of money.
Especially now. So to have your house in the district, a house in DC, unless you've been doing it for a while, it does seem like a lot. Yeah.
But anyway, the fact of the matter is,
about, I forgot. Oh, we were talking about
the candidates
who could run for higher. Yeah, so who could run for higher office in like 4 years? Because we were running out of things to talk about.
Right.
I guess after the election.
Well,
we're not actually, because I actually want to talk about, and maybe we'll save this for the ninth hour. Let's save it for the third hour.
Okay.
I'm doing production notes on the air, but let's save this for the third hour. Talk about the Ward 3 race.
Yes, I think
so.
That's
At 9 o'clock,
important.
we're going to talk about the Ward 3 race. But for now, I kind of like this conversation about speculating about who could run for, let's say, governor.
So for governor,
Tim Cruz.
The bench has become obviously.
I'm thinking like Lou Evangelis in the sheriff of Worcester County.
I think he's a very tall guy,
and it's also he's a Republican. He got reelected this year, and he's from Worcester,
which is important,
very important. So that's someone I would think of. I mean, here's the thing. I think in the next 4 years, before any Republican candidate has to come forward, there has to be a change in leadership in the Mass GOP. There has to be a change in messaging in the Mass GOP, so that someone knows if they're leaving their post to go run for governor, it's not a suicide mission.
So, Marcus, you put it all right there, because the reality of it is that given what Jeff Deal and Jim Lyons just did, all credible candidates have to be putting their resume back in the drawer. Why would you bother?
Yeah.
Unless, as you say, unless and
wipeout.
until there's a change in leadership, donors come back in. Mm-hmm. Why would you ever look what happened to Amore. Amore, when he was trying to get his campaign going, they launched a challenger.
Yes.
A GOP write-in candidate.
Yeah.
To try to undercut the man.
And not only that, his candidacy was, a victim of, because that was the quote-unquote closest race, but I'm not even sure he cracked 40%.
No, it was brutal.
Yeah, so.
Another victim of Jeff Deal.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Deal, he didn't even try. I got to tell you something, folks. We had an up-close look at all of this.
Some people tried, some didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Some people. Now, how about this, Marcus? Jesse Brown, will he try to run for that seat?
Yeah.
Now, here's a good example.
Talking about not trying.
Talk about not trying. Here's a guy who put 300,000.
I've heard 300,000 from people who would know.
Of his own money. I could check, but I didn't. Once you put $100,000 in, I thought, wow. I thought he was going to be very serious. Now, look, I like Congressman Keating quite a bit. I think we have a good relationship with him. He's been very good at this radio station.
Yeah.
He's been very good to you constituents by working with this radio station.
Yep.
So I feel very close to Bill Keating. That being said, when a man puts $100,000, which turned out to be $300,000 of his own money into his race, you go, wow, the guy's serious.
Yeah, right.
And besides the fact that he has that kind of disposable income means he's successful.
Yeah.
Right. I knew he'd been in the Marine Corps. He had service there. But boy, talk about a lackluster effort.
You can like go on vacation, like a really good one. Like a really, really good one for that kind of money.
Oh my God. I've been on good vacation. Came nowhere near that much.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But he spent the money and went on vacation.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Marcus and I were desperate to have him on. We only got him on once.
I don't like that phrasing. We weren't desperate.
Well, I tried reaching out to the guy, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't get in contact with him. The phone
what I'm saying is we made an effort to get him on.
We finally did.
We finally did.
I thought he turned in a pretty good performance.
Yeah.
Nothing to scare him away. Nothing that would make him not want to come back.
Yeah.
We never heard from him again.
No, and we were even trying to get him on to talk about the migrant issue, which was something happening in the district he's running for. And I'd want to get in front of as many microphones as possible. So he said, "Hey, do you want to call in?" Goes, I'll get back to you at the end of the week. I'm like, no, I don't need you that bad. You know, I was like,
it was literally like,
I need you that bad. And Congressman Keating,
I felt like the ugly girl at the prom. It was unbelievable.
Then Congressman Keating, and this isn't reflective on us because Congressman Keating left a meeting with 2 senators to give us a call because he wanted to communicate what he thought was going on with this to his constituents. So, there's some Republican candidates this cycle. There's some that tried really hard. I think of Evan Gendro. He tried really hard. He ran a good campaign. Tom Hodgson tried really hard and ran a good campaign and came up short. So like, I'm sure the people on the Cape did too. Because that was, the Cape was reliably Republican for a long time, but there needs to be a change in leadership. There needs to be a change in messaging, I think, before anybody in the Mass GOP even thinks about stepping forward. Charlie Baker actually was in front of Jake Tapper today, and Charlie Baker doesn't do a lot of national TV interviews. He shies away from it. But he seemed to, he really wanted to get in front of, he got on Jake Tapper. He wanted to get in front of a camera and talk about what he thinks is going wrong with the National Party. So, hey, listen, we're going to take a break, and then we'll be right back. I see some calls on the line. If you're on the line, stay on the line. This is South Coast Tonight with Chris and Marcus.
1420 WBSM can now be heard on 99.5 FM.
At ECK.
You never know who will call in to South Coast Tonight. But they want to hear from you most of all. Call 508-996-0500 or use the WBSM app to send an app chat text message or leave voicemail.
Hey, let's go back to the phones. Good evening.
Hi, gentlemen. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, my friend?
Got the first part of your program. They're talking about the election and everything. But my biggest question to you guys is, will you be able to determine the effect that your program and your promoting of going out and getting the vote and getting candidates on, did it increase the numbers of voters in the listening area, especially New Bedford?
I would say yes.
I would say yeah. Here's the thing. I would say yes, not to like pat myself on the back, but I do see we do see the metrics, and I look at the numbers, and there's just a lot of high interest in the Bristol County Sheriff's race. There was a lot of people looking at it. I had people that weren't necessarily all that involved in county politics ask me about who, someone who I know well, a few people who I know well, who didn't necessarily like the sheriff but didn't know a lot about the Democratic race, said, who is the best candidate to face Hodgson? I said, tune into the debate, here's the debate, and all that stuff. I did give him my opinion, but I said, tune in the debate, here's the debate, and you can decide for yourself. So there was a lot of people really interested in this race, and I think providing and I've since heard, because I was covering all these rallies, people being like, "Oh yeah, I heard you on the debate."
Yes.
Even if they hadn't necessarily heard of South Coast Tonight, they had heard of us on the debate and all that. So I think this definitely did a good job at reaching a broad audience and generating a good turnout.
Were you able to quantify it with the last off-season election?
We're putting those.
We're trying to put those numbers together. That information isn't all that easily accessible, and that's another problem. So we're looking for it.
One other thing to your point, caller, the candidates that came on the program all wanted to return.
Yeah.
Because they heard good feedback about their appearances.
Well, Kim Driscoll in particular, she said it here on air the other night. Actually, she had told me this off air. She had said, "Marcus, when I came on your program, everybody that I knew in this area had told me they had heard me on your program. So it seems like." We're getting a lot of interest in this stuff, and there's people that are at least interested in this stuff are all tuning into South Coast.
And the fact that we can get them back means they weren't just blowing smoke.
Would you say though that maybe 30% of those who could vote got out there and voted?
Yeah, that looks like the case.
I heard that's a pretty good number, because I was watching the C-SPAN. Charlie Baker was on there promoting his book Results. Okay. And he mentioned something about the voting public. If you can get 30% out there, out of all those, that's a pretty good number.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like about 30%, which I would agree. It seems like a pretty decent number. Well, hey, I've got to hold you there because we got to take this break. If you want to call back in the third hour,
give us a call back.
In the third hour, give us a call.
A lot of things I could talk about.
Yeah, call us in the third hour. Call us in the third hour.
Okay,
all right, thanks. Bye. The thing is, everybody's lucky. Everybody's lucky that we're here.
So I think the caller asked a couple really good questions.
Yeah. Well, no, seriously. I think this show's been an important forum for local elections talk. And I'm not just saying that because I'm part of it. I just think it comes at a good. The time slot's good. I think we each have our own perspective on things, but we try to be fair and nonpartisan when we're having these guests on. And I think the guests enjoy the conversation, so they come back, and they've wanted to come back. And just talking with some of the staff that work for them, the communications people, they've really enjoyed it too. So I think. I'm really grateful for the opportunity that we were given by the management and really by you, the audience, that keep listening.
The sponsors, everybody's rowing in the right direction.
Yeah. And
the time slot has been great.
The time slot's been great. It works well for our schedules. It works well for a lot of your schedules. And the podcast downloads have been awesome too. So, hey, listen, we're going to talk about the Ward 3 race in the third hour, so stay tuned.